Well, it's only a few more days till Easter. I'm starting my Easter egg hunt now. Coming up on the show shortly, we have the tips to putting your house on the market. We'll take you right through that process. And then on SA's finest, not one but two beautiful houses, one in Medindi and one in Nord, and you're sure to fall in love with them. And then at the end of the show, we'll be answering all of your questions from the week. Well, I'm sure there are a number of you looking to get away and enjoy your Easter weekend. But for those of you still in Adelaide, there will be plenty of TOOP and TOOP open inspections for you to go and view over Saturday, Sunday and Monday. Coming up shortly, we have the balance of Anthony's interview with ComSec's Chief Economist, Craig James. And now, on Inside Story, your views on what might happen to the market over the balance of this year.
I think the market is terribly overheated, but it seems to be fairly stable at the moment. Some of the overseas pundits say that there's more hurt to come, that the GFC is not completely over, that there could be another big correction in the market about mid-year.
I think there'll always be buyers on the market. I mean, whether there's more seems to be busy at the moment, doesn't it?
If you need to buy a house, you need to buy a house. You just need to factor that into what you can afford.
Well, some interesting thoughts there on the market moving forward. Joining me now is my partner in crime and the seller of Adelaide's most expensive residential property last year in Unley Park, Mr. Lou Toop. How are you, Lou?
Thanks, Tim. Yes, that was a great result.
It was pretty exciting times there.
Exactly.
Lou, we've just heard from some people about the market moving forward through the rest of this year. Interested in your thoughts on what you think might happen now.
Well, I think we can be pretty confident about the rest of the year. We've certainly seen some great results through 2009 and the early part of 2010. And apart from everyone saying there's a stock shortage, that probably is helping with the demand and pushing and holding the prices up. Yeah. I think it's all good.
Just interested in your thoughts also, as we move through the year, traditionally we see obviously winter the stock levels fall. So if we're short on supply at the moment, there's obviously the chance that we'll get to very low supply through winter. Are you seeing that could be the case?
Well, certainly that's a risk, but I think on the whole it feels more like a normal, what we call a normal year. Yep. In that we've seen a run up to Easter which has been pretty frantic and, yep. And a lot of auctions on last weekend. Yes. And there's people out there that are listing their properties ready to get in the market before winter. Yep. And so I think it feels like a pretty normal year.
Well, let's just touch on the auction side of things. There was an article in Saturday's paper talking about we're having better auction clearance rates now than we've seen for about 2 years. There were 76 auctions last weekend, which is the most that there have been held over a weekend for probably that same period of time again. What's your take on all of that?
Well, I know I read that too, and they talked about this highest success rate since around February, I think, 2008. Yes. And that's pretty encouraging because if we're restored to those sort of levels when we're saying, well, that was pretty much the peak of the market, that's very encouraging. The number of auctions before Easter was obviously something that we will always see. Yeah.
And obviously there's that bottleneck with Easter immediately behind us, people trying to get their auction campaign done and dusted before the weekend.
That's right.
We had a terrific auction there in Sheffield Street at Malvern.
Great result.
Perhaps give people a little bit of a rundown on what took place.
Well, it was a great result where through the auction campaign we had good interest. We had a couple of offers throughout. The owners decided to let it run on. They were confident in their home, and you always wonder whether it's the right decision to make. But we ended up selling at $1,085,000. We had 4 or 5 registered bidders, active bidding from a number of people, and I think on the whole everyone was pretty happy with the result.
Made for an exciting time. I guess the other thing that's always topical in the real estate industry is interest rates. Yes. Predictions of several more interest rate rises coming through the rest of the year. On the other side of the equation, I have heard from 1 or 2 people that they don't believe we need any interest rate rises. So it's really hard to predict. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think as we see in the marketplace, we're talking to people, the feeling I get is that they understand that even if we had interest rate rises going up 1 or 2%, that still means that the interest rate environment is quite a low rate in this market compared to what we've seen in other years. So I think they're pretty comfortable with that.
All right. Well, look, let's go now and have a look at Anthony's interview with Craig James from CommSec and see what their thoughts are.